Welcome to our live webinar called Explain Everything, the Basics. My name is Rashawn Richards. I'm one of the founders of Explain Everything. And also joining me is Sam George. Say hi, Sam.
Hello. I am also part of the Explain Everything team. And Rashawn and I thought it would be useful for those who have been requesting just some of the basics of Explain Everything to create a live demo to share those types of things.
So in today's presentation, which will probably last about 30 minutes, we're going to go through 6 areas that we've gotten a lot of questions about: the design tools, recording, exporting and sharing, real-time collaboration, which is currently only on iOS, but coming soon to the other platforms, just general stuff about the project and home screen, and just about different versions of the app and management. So let's dive in. All the tools that are on the left side here, I'm going to refer to those as the design tools, though there's some other elements like the slide sorter that are also part of design. And I'm just going to do a quick kind of teardown of each of those things. At its base level, Explain Everything is really an animation tool. And anything that I add to what I'll call the stage or canvas is something, when the hand tool is selected, can be moved, rotated with multi-touch gestures, and scaled. I can add new drawings, and that too becomes an independent object, and I can actually move multiple things at once. So it's really open-ended. Drawings, you can change the color of the pen. I can change the thickness of the pen. And there's some other cool little elements here, and I'm going to change my fill here. And when I draw something and I click on this little shaded icon, it'll actually fill in that drawing with whatever is set in the fill and then the stroke in this color picker. There's also, I can erase what I'm doing, and I'll talk a little bit later maybe about how the draw tool works with other objects and erasing. There's a highlighter, so it's just got automatic slight transparency, so you can highlight objects, you can highlight text, and that too is something where you can change the color to whatever suits your purpose. Below the highlighter is a paint bucket, and what it lets you do is fill objects that are closed, even if they're from somewhere else. So like I can just use this paint bucket wherever I want, and it'll color everything until it detects a border of that color. Next are shapes. When most of these tools, when I'm pressing them a second time, you get additional options. And the same thing goes with the shape tool. Let me just change a color here. I'm going to make the border black and the fill yellow. So in the shape tool, I've got a regular rectangle, rounded rectangle, circle, line, arrow, and star, and something I'm going to show in a second called freeform shapes. But any shape I can add, and it too behaves just like all those other things that I had created before. This freeform shapes allows me to just draw the outline or a gesture of certain shapes, and it'll automatically create. And if that's not yet on the other platforms, it's going to be there soon. I could add text. I can change the style and font and size and color, and I could even change the color of the background for a text box. So as you notice, everything is behaving the same way. So I'm going to pause there because I do want to talk about kind of some logic things. So I've shown the pen, the highlighter, the bucket, shapes, and text. Those are all things that you're creating from scratch. This X here is the delete button, and it's what lets you delete an entire object, or if I drag anything that's kind of in its general area, I can delete all at once. And so that's how I quickly made or cleared out my space here. The reason I did that is because I want to model some stuff about the draw tool. While I'm drawing, I'm in the middle of creating an active drawing. During that time, I can erase portions of that drawing. But as soon as I either hit this check mark or switch to any other tool, that drawing becomes complete, and now it's an object. I'm going to create another drawing in a red color here. Now I'm going to select the eraser. I can erase part of this drawing, but I cannot erase part of the previous drawing because that got flattened into an object. I can delete it, and now I could also delete the other thing. So that sometimes for first-time users can be a little bit tricky.
Hello, I just wanted to explain a few differences between the version that is shown in this video. It's a bit older and it has a different layout of the features. Our version is a bit different, so I just wanted to show you how they compare. Okay, so first of all, just the layout with the pen tool, there's a few differences. You can find your colors inside here instead of how it was on the bottom. So it gives you 5 different options instead of 3, which is nice. Also, you can change the width of your line. So it can go pretty thin to this thickness. You can choose the type of drawing tool. So right now I'm on marker. You can also use this pencil, which gives a bit of a different effect. The width also works with this tool as well. You can also choose the hardness. H means it's more hard, so the higher number, it's going to be a harder pencil. So that means it's lighter and it's harder to build up that value. If it's B, that just means it's softer, so it's a bit darker and easier to build up that value. I think the older version doesn't have the ruler, so I'll just show you that too. So you can move it around and change the degree. It'll show right there what degree you're using. So this is good for when you want to make a straight line. So you just, yeah, draw along it. Okay, another thing is that the eraser is not inside the pencil tool ribbon, or the drawing tool ribbon. It has its own little icon here. And what's good to know is that there's 3 different types of erasers. They all have different levels of how much they can erase, so I'll try to demonstrate that. Sometimes it's a little hard not to mess it up. So if I draw something, make sure that it's its own object, draw something else, complete that. I'll draw this line in between. Alright, so this first level, it won't affect that first drawing I made, or that second one. They're all like separate objects, and that green one was layered on top, so it would only affect that one. It's a little hard to think it through what you're actually going to erase, so just be careful what you do. You can always undo as well. The second level, let me see, I think I need an image. Just use Sokka. It's a bit blurry, but okay, so I'm drawing on top of Sokka. There we go. The second level, it'll erase the drawings that I make, but not that image. I think that goes as well with the shapes. Let me try. No, eraser. No, okay. It doesn't erase shapes, just drawings. So with the third level, it should erase everything. So it didn't erase the shape, but it erased the drawing and the image I inserted. Okay, so this was on top of that part of the picture. But with that third level of erasing, it does erase images that you insert. So that's good to know whenever you're going to erase something, like what exactly is going to be affected. It also probably depends what is grouped. So just be careful with that. Yeah, so another little feature that was added in the drawing and the shapes tool was the width, as I had said before. And with the shapes tool, it also has this drop shadow. So if I draw, I'll make it a little more obvious. This doesn't really have a shadow because it wasn't selected. Now if I turn that on, it's very hard to see, but you can see like a faint little hazy shadow behind it. It's a little more obvious if I move it on top of something else. You can just see the one red rectangle is above the other. So it's good to know when your objects are just automatically going to have that shadow. I think that's in the settings. Whenever you make shapes, they will automatically get a shadow. I turned that setting off because I want to know when I do that. Okay, so for the little exercise to follow up the design tools section, just this first part, I want you to illustrate this picture using the drawing tools. Now, it doesn't have to be amazing. You don't have to get the shading down or anything. Just get used to the tools that you just learned about. So try to use the pen tool once. So it's this one. The pencil tool at least once. I don't know, that could be maybe like the shading, whatever you want to do. Doesn't have to be too detailed. Try the different widths. So thinner and thicker. I'll use the highlighter, which it's basically the same as the pen tool. It's just that the opacity is turned down, which you could still do with the pen tool. It's just right here. So that can basically be a highlighter if you want to. And use the draw fill at least once. So that is within the drawing tool. It's this, that one right there. I can't select it right now. And then also try the paint bucket and try to find the differences between the draw fill and the paint bucket. It's very subtle. You'll find this image. You don't have to copyright from this video, but you can use the link that was provided on the Google Docs.